The whole reason I bring up Mormonism is this. If you study religious trends, there's an increasing movement among evangelical Christians to embrace Mormons as fellow Christians. And this has happened through the men's movements, the big stadium movements, and it's happened through all of our efforts to help our culture. And so we work side by side with these people. We share a common value, a respect for life or for family. And we forget that though they use the same words we do, they don't mean what we mean by the words. And let me share that with you in this way. Recently, the leaders of Brigham Young University invited a dear friend of mine, someone who's spoken here many times, author of many books and commentaries. They personally invited him to fly to Brigham Young, to their theology department, and to sit with them. And when he got to this room, there on the table they had his commentaries, his most important ones on Romans and on Matthew. They had his theological treatises on the sufficiency of Christ and the gospel according to Jesus and faith works. They had all those books spread out. And they spent the next 6 hours after they made this open statement. They said, "We want you to know, Dr. MacArthur, we believe in salvation by grace here at the Mormon Church. We believe in salvation through faith, and we believe in salvation in Christ. We want you to know that." That's how they started the meeting. This is the gatekeepers of the theology of the fastest growing cult in the world, the Mormon Church. Well, this is what Dr. MacArthur records. He wrote down his reply to them at the end of this 6 hours. He starts out by saying, "Are Mormons Christians? After 6 hours with the two theologians that lead the church, I must confess, graciously but firmly, no." And here's why. He said, "I spent recently a full day with the two leaders of Mormon theology, the chairman of the theology department at Brigham Young and his associate. These are the Mormon gatekeepers of their theology. The Mormon Church has 7 presidents that are actually like 7 apostles. They make all the doctrinal decisions if it's not in their Doctrine of Covenants, the Book of Mormon. They came to spend the day with me under the authority and commission of the 7 presidents of the Mormon Church. They wanted to talk theology. So we sat together, and they told me their confession, which I already read to you. We believe in Christ. We believe in His grace. We believe in salvation through Christ, and it's by faith." He said, "That's where we started." He said, "Most people would have said, 'Wow, a revival in the Mormon Church,' and would have just stopped there and said, 'Great,' and hugged them." He said, "I couldn't do that." He said, "I sat with them and I began asking them very close and personal questions. And for 6 hours I asked them those questions. And he said, it's so amazing that they kept answering with the same terms. And so he said, at the end of the 6 hours, I asked them 3 final questions. And so since we don't have 6 hours, I'll just give you the last 3. He said, could we just come to a conclusion? He said, yes. He said, let me just ask you 3 simple questions, just to clarify everything. Number 1, he said, in a nutshell, tell me about your God. Who, when you say God, do you mean? They described to him a God who didn't have 3 persons. In other words, they're Unitarians. And so I said, well, whatever we want to talk about regarding grace, faith, and Christ, let me get it straight. We are talking about a different God. The God of this book, the Bible, of Jesus Christ and Christianity is different than your God that you're talking about. Okay? He said, secondly, I have a second question for you. Tell me about Jesus Christ. And they said, Jesus is a created being, created by God. He is high, but he is high in an order of created beings. Remember, Jesus and Satan are brothers, that whole mess? Well, John says, let me make this clear to you, men. We not only have a different God, we have a different Christ. And if anybody comes and preaches a different Christ, Galatians says he is what? Accursed. So John said, could I just ask one more question? If I want to get to the highest heaven, in other words, if I want salvation, what would I have to do to get it? Just give me your plan of salvation, real succinctly. They quickly told him, number 1, he would need to join the Mormon Church. Secondly, he would need to evidence certain obediences. He would need to be baptized with a certain kind of Spirit-endowed baptism, and he would need to be a part of their system. That was their plan of salvation. So at the end of the 6 hours, John said, well, let me clarify what we've talked about. We have a different God, a different Christ, and a different gospel. Other than that, we completely agree.